everybody, it is Magic Prepper, and today we're going to talk about what will be the end of the world. Now listen, if you're preparing for the end of the world, you know there's a lot of different ways that this whole thing can go down. And the end of the world is definitely a concept that we all in the prepper and survival community regularly prepare for. We have this assumption that eventually everything as we know it is going to end and crumble down to bits until we get to the point where we're back to the Stone Age. So if you think the world's going to end and you're preparing for it now, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. It helps the channel a lot, and I really appreciate all the support. So, what will be the end of the world? What will cause the end of the world? And when will the end of the world happen? Those are all questions we constantly ask ourselves if you're a prepper or survivalist. Consider the fact that there's so many factors out there that could easily end the world right now that we have no control over. We're saying large-scale natural disasters. We're talking about possible alien invasion. Or maybe we're even just speaking about things like pandemics. Those are things that are not necessarily in our control that we have to prepare for happening in the future. But I would say that the most likely thing that will be the end of the world is going to be caused by man. It's going to be man-made, or it's going to be man himself. So why do I say that? Well, we're always on a track to find the next best thing and to acquire as much power as possible. And in doing so, we've all seen what's happened with nuclear arms races, with bioweapons, with chemical weapons, with war across the ages. It's always been a trend for us. But not only that, now we are also in a state of information and technology where we want to move to the next frontier. So we want to find the next best thing, and we're constantly researching things that are possibly dangerous. In fact, extremely dangerous. The CERN particle collider is causing, different things to happen that we can't even predict or assume have a certain outcome. And when science is going into these dark realms of the mixture of possibly science and magic or whatever it might be, we have to assume that there could be things that happen there that might not lead to a positive outcome. And that's the same thing that goes with things like HAARP. When it comes to weather control, weather manipulation, and things along those lines, we have to assume that that could backfire very, very easily. And now we're talking about the possibility of, subterranean nuclear detonations that are causing earthquakes and everything else. We're doing a lot of terraforming in a negative way. And it's not because we want to or because it's what we're trying to do. It's because we're just inadvertently terraforming this planet into being something else other than what it was when it started. And I don't care if you believe in global warming or not, or if you think climate change is real or not, but if the climate changes drastically, it will cause a lot of problems. So that also needs to be on the list. And part of that could easily be man-made, especially if we're manipulating things like the weather. So man is on this crash course to find the end of the world. And whether or not it's through war, through AI, or through things like the CERN particle accelerator, where we're discovering new particles we didn't know existed, but we also don't really know what to do with them, then you know that these things are all culminating into this perfect storm of eventually one of them is going to be the kicker. One of them is going to be the thing that moves us from point A to point B, and it's going to put us on a track to devastation. And if you don't believe so, then I'm sorry that you haven't paid a lot of attention to what's going on in the world these days, but ever since the dawn of time, man has decided that at some point things are going to end. And now, you can talk about the Bible, or you can talk about other religions, and whatever prophecies and whatever else they have to say. But in all reality, the idea of everything going on forever is a false idea. Just ask the dinosaurs. Now, you can talk about the dinosaur extinction in one way or another if you'd like, but in all reality, all it proves to us is that on this planet, it's possible for an entire species, which humans are a species, to suddenly dissolve and disappear forever, okay? And if you don't believe that, I am sorry for you. If you believe dinosaur bones were buried in the desert 6,000 years ago to confuse us, then I guess, give me a good comment below and let me know how that's supposed to work, because I'd appreciate finding out if that's true or not. Anyhow, I don't know exactly when the world's going to end, and man, from the beginning of time, has tried to predict it. And every prediction about the world ending has always been wrong. Let's be honest. Every time a guy comes out and he, used numerology to decipher the Bible and found out that the world is going to end at this day, at this time, at this year, and then guess what? That time and date and year passes, and it never happens. So preppers and survivalists don't work with predictions as much as they work with possibilities. And the possibility of what will be the end of the world is going to be something we have to really evaluate, because how do you prepare for an AI robot invasion if you're also worried about preparing for a possible asteroid strike? Or, maybe you're preparing for a foreign invasion, but the real kicker is going to be a super volcano. There's a lot of things that can happen that you can't really prepare for one individual thing, but we all know that they could all lead to that inevitable SHTF we talk about all the time. So, if you're going to put them in the list of things that are most likely to happen, there's large-scale natural disasters, there's pestilence, there's economic collapse, there's AI, and there's science going too far with things like CERN. You have your weather manipulation, which could be a problem, and war, of course, is always going to be one of the biggest factors, because any of those other things might lead to a war anyway, because once that happens, it's over, okay? So, the other thing that a lot of people prepare for is EMP. If you are worried about EMP or grid down and losing electricity and power, I suggest you actually check out this video I'm going to put here in the top of the description. My buddy at Prescott Caliber Club installed an EMP shield in his truck, and I think it's a really cool concept, and if you have the disposable income to try to EMP-proof your vehicles, it might be worth it, okay? Now, they'll only get you through a few months, because once that gasoline starts going bad, it's not going to suddenly get back on refineries and production's going to start putting out gas and everything else. But if the initial blast happens and everyone's vehicles stop working except yours, you're going to have a significant tactical advantage, okay? So, that being said, with all these different concepts in mind, mankind's going to be the reason the world ends most likely. Yes, there could be a cosmic event we can't see coming, like another planet colliding with Earth. And if you're one of those Planet X people, then, you probably think that might happen one day. But honestly, the general consensus in the prepper community is that SHTF and the end of the world, the one we're talking about right now, is going to be man-made. So prepare for the things that man can make and man can do, because those are the things that are most likely to cause the epidemic of decline and all of the devastation and destruction that SHTF brings with it, okay? So, like I said, one more time just so you can go through it. You got AI, you got war, you got large-scale natural disasters, you have weather manipulation, you have economic collapse, you have pestilence, and there's always the possibility of an alien invasion or something like that. But I think the ones that relate to man and man-made items are going to be your biggest factors. And if you're not preparing for any of those right now, I definitely suggest you start preparing for them, okay? I am just trying to give you guys things to think about. Use your brain, get that brain kind of spinning and going in the right direction, and hopefully start preparing for things that might inevitably save your life. The whole point of preparing for things when we think the world's going to end is that we don't have to suffer for as long as other people. And the whole idea behind prepping and survivalism is that when those times come, you and I can sit down in our house or a bunker or whatever it is you have and still be comfortable for a certain period of time. And that's really important, because you want your loved ones to be comfortable, you want yourself to be comfortable, and you want everyone you know and you invite into your group to be comfortable as well. And that suffering and mitigating some of that suffering is huge. You need to have yourself a lot of food, a lot of water, ways to secure yourself, and you also need to put yourself in a position where you're strategically located, because being on the 40th floor of a high-rise apartment building in the middle of New York City is not the best place to be when these things start to happen. Just going to throw that out there. But if you're in that position, I don't blame you for being in that position. A lot of us have to make things work for what we're trying to do in our lives, and just make sure you have an exit plan, okay? What will be the end of the world? There's a lot of things surrounding that question, but I hope maybe this conversation got you started to think about what it might be, so you can start preparing a little bit more broadly than you are now. If you're only prepared for a hurricane, or if you're only prepared for an earthquake, then you're missing a lot of the boat when it comes to things that could actually cause the decline of civilization as we know it currently. And I want you all to survive that and to stay with me here so that, we can keep making sweet YouTube videos in the middle of the apocalypse, because that's what everyone's trying to do, right? All right, so listen, if you like this content, if you want to, hang out and do more when it comes to preparing and survivalism and everything else, please become a subscriber to this channel, like, share the videos, do all the things you're supposed to do to try to help out, because I want to come back and help you as well. And I think that as a community, the prepper community has a lot of things going for it when it comes to helping each other out and giving a lot of support. And I think you're in the right place if that's what you want to do. So, if you want, I have a video about the top 5 SHTF events that could cause Teotihuacan, and I will put a link to that video up here in the description. Up here in the video, and then we'll go ahead and end this video, and that's going to be it for Magic Prep.